Hi, I am going to be sharing about a topic, and it's one that I feel called to speak about because I actually feel like there is a gap um, in the awareness of this topic, in discussing the relationship to one's body, the relationship to healing, um, what it means to kind of be healthy and well, and to be in recovery from eating disorder, and to feel at peace with oneself. And so this is really coming from in my own embodied share and journey of living with hypothalamic amenorrhea, and what that embodied experience really um, is and feels like in the body, and kind of my way through it, and things that I found to be healing along the way. And I'm recording and sharing this because, as someone who has struggled with this for a really long time, I felt a great deal of shame and isolation around this specifically. And it feels, still, even sitting and talking about it in this moment, so stigmatized and shame based. And I don't think that actually helps. I don't think that helps. And there is no shame. And there's only a real space of healing that can begin to happen when these things can be brought into the light and brought into the heart and brought forward to be honored, from a place of honesty. So that is my intention, that any piece of this share lands for someone that maybe is struggling, maybe has known this struggle, maybe will know this struggle, maybe is just knowing someone who has had this struggle and is wanting to bring love to the situation for oneself or someone else or the world. So that's the intention. So hypothalamic amenorrhea is the condition where you don't have a regular period. And for me, in my own experience, this has been true, and kind of has had a history in my life. So hypothalamic amenorrhea can be kind of like caused by different things. One can be, like too much exercise. Another can be, not enough nourishment. Another can be stress. And in my own experience, I know it's kind of been different things over time, or a blend of things. And so if I'm to just go a little bit through my history, I was an athlete. I played sports. And so from the doctor's early days, they kind of normalized for me that, like, I might not have like a regular period, and that's normal for athletes, and not to find alarm in that. And so, like, that was kind of like I downloaded that early on. And that was true in my experience. I was later to get my period in the first place, and when I did get it, I wouldn't get it regularly. And so this was like familiar to me. I also have a history of an eating disorder. And so this, kind of like weaved in there with this history of like inconsistent periods is just they're connected. When the body isn't receiving enough nourishment, isn't having enough fats or carbs or food to nourish it, it will not be able to menstruate. It will not be able to flow, because what I also found about hypothalamic amenorrhea, it's your body is in a state of energy conservation. So you are not using, you're not, like, the body doesn't have excess resources to use. And this makes sense. If you're not putting enough in your body, it knows that. And so it's not going to kind of distribute the resources that you're putting in a way. And it's, the body's wise. The body's so wise. And so the body is in a state of energy conservation to conserve based on what it knows to be true. And I'll share a little bit more about hypothalamic amenorrhea. It involves the hypothalamus, which we know is this center in the body that has so much to do with hormone health and the way hormones are working in our body. And so when you're working with the hypothalamus, or you have a condition that's impacting the hypothalamus, it's impacting hormonal functioning in your body. And hormones they're so important in mood, in emotion, in connection, in relationship. And so a hormone balance and having your hypothalamus, your hormone center, working in a way that's supporting your health is important. Hypothalamic amenorrhea, it's also impacting that HPA axis, stress response system. The HPA axis is communicating on that, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So again, it's working across these important aspects of the body, important glands, important brain centers, and it's kind of working on those stress hormones. So the cortisol in your body and the mind-body communication of how these hormones are kind of being communicated in the body, and then the systems of the body, how they're communicating what to do and how to do it. So when you're kind of messing with the HPA axis, you're again with the nervous system too, like you're in that nervous system state of fear or unsafety or instability. And so, everything in your body is designed to organize around. So the inner body is organizing around the flavor of fear because of hormone imbalance, going into fight or flight, going into unsafe, going into shutdown, going in automatic. And so this is a bit of what happens. So I like to say too, with a condition like hypothalamic amenorrhea, we look at the physical manifestation or absence of like no period. I look at that a little bit deeper and say no period. What's going on? Like, what's going on? Because it's not like when there's an absence, there's also a presence, like, of something. And that presence of something is a tremendous amount of stress in the body, a tremendous amount of internal imbalance in the body. That is then manifest as no period. And so, like, I bring that in because my own experience tells me that it's not like so simple and black or white or red or white or whatever as like period or not period. And I know for myself, the experience of not having a regular period has had a lot of shame, has had a lot of fear. And I bring it in now with an embodied compassion and consideration for what it means to live without a period and to survive and exist that way. And in that, really respecting the wisdom of the body and my body, and also this honoring of what that divine cycle offers to life itself. So I'm with the layers of that. And I'm moving around. It's active, right? It's an active thing. And I can just share a little bit more about my, journey with it. So, I had an eating disorder, and I did so much to heal my relationship with food and with my body, and to do a lot of the tangible things to take care of myself. Like, I'm very clear on safeguarding. Like, to protect against that old way of restriction or over exercising. And so, like, from a behavioral standpoint, finding that stability. From an even emotional and a psychological standpoint, of doing a lot of the work to have a different relationship with food and with body, that's very important work. And doing those components and those pieces are all part of putting this picture together still. And even in those pieces, what I've found to be true is, like, you still need to do the work of allowing the body to do its thing. Just because, like, I'm ready and where, like, I want to be balanced for so long, if the history is like I haven't been consistent, or I haven't been balanced in my relationship to my body, or in my relationship to giving myself nourishment, or in relationship to giving myself care. Like, my body knows that one. She's got the memory. So she protects against that. And it's like, we want consistency from you. And allowing that too is a part of, like, any work to be done. Like, part of the work is kind of accepting the process and the pace that the body wants to really be in its own healing and safety with things. And that was hard for me to get behind, because I felt like all of these external pieces that were coming together, where I was in such a more balanced place. My body, I wouldn't get my period. And this is years. I'm 26, haven't had it regularly my entire life, and have gone years without having it, and have had that normalized. And the lesson I've taken from allowing my body in its own time and its own pace and its own way to establish safety itself has been the greatest lesson in self-trust and allowing. Because you cannot force and, like, artificially create safety. And part of how I see it now too is, like, this wisdom that is built into me is, like, this inherently system that will safeguard me. Like, if I'm really not feeling safe, or if I'm really not in a way where I'm giving myself enough of what my body will tell me. My body will not have a period. It just won't. And instead of judging that or fearing that, making that bad, I've come to believe that's a part of having faith in finding flow like literally in finding flow, in finding life, in finding harmony, in finding peace, in finding trust. And I've brought a lot of my own Reiki practice into bringing forward the period flow now, for myself. And I'm still early. I have gotten my period. And this is a bit of what I wanted to share about the embodied difference of having a period versus not. And I know for myself, when I haven't had my period, and so this is still very new for me and raw, but I'm like, let me just share from an honest place. Having not had a period, what that might feel like, it feels like there is something wrong. You just don't know what. It feels that you always need to be doing something or figuring something out. It feels like there is something wrong with your body and you just don't know what, and you're trying to fix it and figure it out always. It feels like you want to feel things that you physiologically are not connected to. It feels like you're afraid of yourself and for yourself. It feels like betrayal from your own body. It feels like shame. It feels like what's wrong with me? It feels scary. It feels like it'll never end or change. Like for me, I know every time I go to the bathroom and you look and I'm like wanting my period. Like maybe I'll see red. Maybe I'll see red. Every time I go to the bathroom. Every time. And so it can be such it can get in like to really just intimate parts of someone's experience that you wouldn't even expect, like this constant feeling of failure, of like, what am I not doing right? What's fucking wrong with me? What's fucking wrong? It can feel hard to explain to other people because it's kind of like you don't want them to worry, and you don't also know yourself. It can feel like your own body's a mystery to you that you don't understand. Um, and how that impacted me in terms of, my functioning and my energy and my relationships. It made me really unavailable. It made me pretty surface, in the sense of, like, I don't think anyone would be like, oh, you're, a surface person. And it's not that I am, but it kept me further because I was holding something that was hard. And so I always kind of like, and again with period, I think of a lot of like some of the, root chakra and that stability, and so much of like that solid ground and feeling that ground underneath you enough to be. And so I think my experience tells me, like, I didn't really have a feeling of that ground underneath me where I could just kind of get in there and be in there and stabilize. Didn't feel a whole ton of that. And so it could be like perfect day with perfect people, great external, though internally just this sense of something isn't okay. And now that I have kind of had a period so wonderfully, I just am loving the energy of it. Like, I feel such gratitude for the blessing that it is to have a body, the blessing that it is to have some of these processes work to support my health, to feel that energy. And it's like, doesn't come with feeling great. Like, cramps are a thing. Like, I definitely get cramps, and I definitely feel a little muddy, like, in terms of that, like, heavier energy, or that, like, you know what I mean? But I'm like, it's also a gift. It's what it means to have a lot of earth and root and stability within your system, is to feel connected to those elements of yourself and those aspects of yourself. So it's like, I have nothing but gratitude for that. And part of how I really see and am interacting with myself now around maintaining a period and having that be a really beautiful part of my practice of taking care of myself is like, this is the priority, like, this consistency, this sensing of stability within, this connection to that cycle. And I actually I did so much. I mean, I did a lot of, in terms of bringing back my period, like, I did a lot of Reiki, which is an energy healing technique. I use it on myself. It's completely changed my life. It works on intention, it works on the divine light, and it's just bringing your higher consciousness to anything as you direct healing light power to it. That's what I did. And what I did was, I was like, I am sick and tired of looking outside of myself to heal this or fix it. Like, it doesn't need to be fixed. I'm not broken. Like, it's not that. I need my energy on it. I need my attention on it. I need my full capacity with this part of myself. And once I got so devoted and determined in my focus and with my energy and with my attention, and just brought it all there and was like, this is it. Boom, happened. And that tells me is like, when we just bring our own healing life force, our own heart, our own will to have something change, not because we're trying to fix ourselves, not because we're broken, not because we're bad, but because we're healing beings. We're meant for health. We're meant for happiness. We're meant for wholeness. We're meant for balance. And when we allow that naturally to come through, it will, and it does. And that's what the Reiki has offered to me very tangibly, with something that I've suffered with for years. Like, I'm talking 18 to 26 years, and even before that. And it's like, when we set this commitment and this intention for our own healing and believe it to be possible and practice in faith and show up in love and listen, like, not make what's showing up in the physical body is bad. When we just listen to the physical body, it's pointing our way. And I looked and I said, it's pointing my way. I'm not feeling safe. I don't feel safe internally. I need to take care of that. I care about that. I do. And that was where the embodied compassion came in, of this realization for when I lived for so long with not having my period, and what that was really like, and how it was really hard for me in my relationships and with my relationship to myself and in the work I was doing. And I was just feeling it felt really hard, and it felt like I was doing something wrong. And instead of being like I was doing something wrong, like, no, like I was doing the best I could. And it allows me to have an embodied understanding of the condition, right? Of what it means to live in a dysregulated state and how hard that is. And now it's like I can have a practice of being grateful that I get to take care of myself in a different way now. That I'm committed to that. Um, and so this has just been an honest share about my experience with hypothalamic amenorrhea, my journey with Reiki and using that. And if anyone's curious about Reiki, I'm always happy to share about it. Please reach out, Katie Krager, socialwork@gmail.com. Or if you want to talk more about period recovery or hypothalamic amenorrhea, or healing and approaches that honor the healing that always is living within you, I welcome those inquiries, those questions, and thank you so much. And I appreciate all the light you bring.